SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Rebel Rags, celebrating 20 years of bringing the best Ole Miss gear to fans everywhere. Visit the store on Jackson Avenue in Oxford or order online at rebelrags.net. That's rebelrags.net. Tell them, Molly.
Rebel Rags. Anything, everything, Ole Miss.
And now, Sports.
Get ready, sports fans. It's time for Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming worldwide on the SuperTalk Mississippi app and on your Amazon Alexa devices. Chasing Foul Balls, your weekly source for all the sports news and interviews important to Southwest Mississippi. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank. And now, here's your host, Robbie Hamilton.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the Friday morning edition of Chasing Foul Balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. Not much scores to talk about last night. Community College, all the teams off. They had an open date across the state. High school-wise, nothing really played on Thursday night in Mississippi, but down in Louisiana, they had a big one where Jules Sumner, who was the number one team in 3A, defeated Franklinton, the number 5 team in 4A. That was last night down in Louisiana, and the NFL game last night, a real barn burner. San Francisco beats Los Angeles Rams 26-23. That one took overtime. Our game of the week last week in high school, guys, was kind of a dud. 2 undefeated teams playing. We thought it would be a good game, but Park Lane just worked over Starkville Academy. Final score in that one was 37-0. And our game of the week in high school this week ought to be a real slobber knocker, that's for sure. Poplarville comes to McComb to take on the Tigers. We'll talk to the head coach of the McComb Tigers, Alden Foster, in just a few minutes, and we'll also visit with the writer for the Mississippi Scoreboard, Robert Wilson. So let's get started. To my right, the professor himself, Mr. Neil Randall. How are you, sir?
Man, glad to be here with you guys, and I'm sorry to hear Richard's going on injured reserve.
Yeah, I heard that. If we have time, we have to discuss that. Speaking of injured reserve, how are you, Richard?
Well, other than my heel, I'm really
it's
fine.
Your heel.
Yeah, heel on my right foot.
A lot of folks said you were heel.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, your heel was bad. Yeah, whatever. Let's go to work. First question. Can LSU still make the college playoffs? Richard?
Well, yeah, I guess they can, Robbie, if they how many games they got left? 8 or 9?
Yeah, I guess so.
If they win the majority of them, because they still have a tough schedule coming up. The way they've been playing and what I saw this past Saturday against Ole Miss, I don't think they'll win enough games to get in, but I think they'll be in consideration depending on who they beat down the stretch.
Mr. Randall.
Well, like Richard says, it depends on who they beat and who they lose to, but it also depends on what other schools do also. I would say right now the odds are against them, but, never count them out because that's one of the premier programs in this country.
Second question. If you were a resident of Alabama and voted in Alabama, who would you vote for the state, the National Senate seat that will be open when Tuberville gives it up? Would you vote for Paul Feinbaum or Bruce Pearl? Neil?
I'd have to pass. I'd have to leave that alone.
Oh,
Richard.
Robbie, I'd hate to be standing in the voting booth having to make that decision.
Tough decision, but that's what y'all get paid the big bucks for. Tough decisions.
Just because he's more energetic, at least in the appearance that I see, I'd probably vote for Bruce Pearl.
I thought you were going to say Tuberville, and I'd have to pass on that.
No, Tuberville is going to run for this. Looks like the governor of Alabama.
Lord,
so that seat will come open, and those two have said they may run. So we'll see.
Lord have mercy.
Third question. I want an honest answer now.
That's all we give.
Did any of y'all know who Bad Bunny was when they announced that he was going to perform for the Super Bowl?
About the only bunny I've ever known has been Bugs, so no.
Bugs Bunny may be as good a show as Bad Bunny is. Neil?
I assume there's some words that Randy will have to beep out, but I would say I had no clue. Yeah, heck no, I had no clue. I'm like, I thought he was going to start chewing on his carrot, but I had no clue.
I have no idea who Bad Bunny is, but I assume, that'd be just another halftime show, another reason to go get something to eat. But
yeah.
Bad Bunny, what a name. Number 3, will the Saints get their first win this year at home against the Giants on Sunday? Mr. Randall.
I'd love to see that happen, and it could happen, but I'm not going.
Now we got, what is that?
I'm not going to bet the baby's
Little
milk
Angels,
money on it.
Is that what that was? What's that? It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
But I don't think it will. So anyway,
Robbie, they seem to be getting closer and closer and closer.
But you know what? Close counts.
I'm well aware, Neil.
Is that anything to do with how far you go on your first date?
I think so.
I would have to say right now no, and hope I'm wrong.
So when will the Saints start Shuck? Richard, is it time, or are we still a little bit away from that?
Robbie, I think we're still a little bit away. Rattler's been playing okay. They haven't gotten any wins, but he's I don't think
what is he, 0-10 at the start?
That's the thing, is it? But I don't think necessarily all of that's his fault. He gets it because he's the starting quarterback, and I just, the worst thing is he puts Shuck in and he doesn't play well. Then what do you do?
Find somebody else.
But right now, I think they're still holding off the fact that Rattler might get a little better. We might win a game, and then Shuck could be eased into the situation. But you're getting to a point where you drafted him, you got to play him. But I'd say right now, Rattler's probably going to stay the starter.
Well, if the Saints win this week, Rattler is going to stay for another week or 2 or 3 because everybody will be happy. But that's a tough decision for them to have to make. Of course, Robbie Hamilton doesn't ask anything but tough questions.
The Saints are 0-4 this year. That's the worst first-year head coach start for the Saints since 1967. Does that say anything about it, concerning the Saints teams they've had since 67, Neil?
Well, the Saints have had some bad teams.
That's right.
67, that was Tom Fears.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Richard's nodding.
Yeah.
Boy, y'all so efficient.
Yeah, we try to be. We have to stay in the room with you.
Well, a couple of good news things for the Saints. New Orleans will host the 27-28 College National Football Championship. The 27-28 National Football Championship. And the Saints and the Superdome have just signed a long-term agreement for the Saints to stay in the Superdome. We've all figured that was coming, but glad to see it get done finally.
Yeah, well, I think that might have been the holdup, or at least I know it was the holdup, or one of the holdups for them getting announced to host a Super Bowl in the next 4, 5, 6 or whatever it is. But, yeah, good news for the Superdome, good news for our Saint fans. And the college football play our final game. That'll be that once again another big deal for New Orleans at that time of the year. But they're not strangers to that.
Ole Miss, Mississippi State, USM, and JSU. You know what the records are between all of them?
Oh, I think there are 3 losses.
I think you're right. I think 3 losses. State's got 1, Jackson State's got 1, and Southern Miss has got 1.
There's 4. The record for Ole Miss State, USM, and Jackson State, unbelievably, is 15-4, Neil. We sure have no reason to complain about college football in Mississippi. Then you have Delta State in Division II. We have 4 teams in community college that are in the top 15 in the nation. Football in Mississippi is probably as good as we've had it in a long time.
It really is, and we've played, the first half of the season now, and it's coming down the home stretch, and it'll be interesting to see how our Mississippi teams do.
We'll come back. We'll get started. Alden Foster, the head coach of the McComb Tigers. They have Poplarville in town tonight. Ought to be a great game. We'll talk to him right after this. back, Chasing Foul Balls, Friday morning here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. First of all, our congratulations goes out to Paige Howell, who was named the USM Alumni Hall of Fame this week. Congratulations, Paige, for that. Good choice, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent choice.
And let's see, before we go to Coach Foster, one other thing. The Magnolia Little League Ballpark, I think it was the Dixie Youth Park, there's been a $12,000 pledge toward rebuilding that facility, and they're taking donations and going to get it rebuilt. You can donate by call it 783-5211. That's 783-5211. That's the Magnolia Little League Ballpark. They're going to rebuild it. They've got started with a $12,000 pledge, and so let's go ahead and make some phone calls to 783-5211. If you can't pledge money, you can pledge a little time to help do some work out there. It would be great to have the Little League Ballpark back going in Magnolia to help it all across the county of Pike. Let's get started. On the phone with us, the head coach of the McComb Tigers, Coach Alden Foster. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm okay. How are you?
Doing fine. 5-0. That has to be exciting to look at on your record right now.
Yeah, it's exciting. When we scheduled it, most of the teams that was on our schedule from last year, this year were playoff teams last year. So, to come out of it, especially be the Brookhaven team and a good Tylertown team because they haven't lost since we beat them. It's a big accomplishment, but all that means nothing now because it's a new season.
Well, when you talk about the McComb Tigers, you usually talk about offense all in, not much defense. But this year, when you look at the numbers, you have scored over 40 points in 4 of the first 5 games, but you've only allowed 16 points, the most in 5 games. So you're playing really good football right now on both sides of the ball.
Well, that's the key. We like to compliment each other on both sides of the ball. Good offense, and good, solid defense. So we're excited about, this group. They've grown a lot. To say we replaced 10 starters on defense. So, we're excited about the way we're playing.
Coach Foster, this is Neil Randall. Congratulations on getting off to the undefeated start with your Tigers. You got Poplarville coming to town tonight. I believe they're the defending 4A state championships. Their record right now, I think, is 3-2, but that may not be indicative of how good this team is. What can you tell us about them?
They real solid. They do what they do, and they got the best. Supposed to be the top running back in the class in 2027. And he's the real deal. He's big, and he runs physical, and he can make the miss. And those linemen, they're gonna block. They block. They've got a great system, and they do it well. So, but we've seen it before, and so it comes down to, hey, let's see how far we've grown since playing them last year in the third round of the playoffs.
Coach Foster, this is Richard. Hey, playing at the Tiger Den is always tough. Expecting a big crowd Friday night tonight. And how is your team ready or prepared? Are they overexcited, underexcited, business as usual? Because it's going to be a big deal and everybody's going to be ready.
Well, the thing is, we're kind of even keel. You're excited, but at the same time, you gotta keep focused on the task at hand. You can't get, and at times during the Brookhaven game, we did get overexcited. Some of my kids that normally even kill. And so we're going to use that game, and that's what goes experiences, about, to attack this game. Hey, you can't get too low, you can't get too high. You just got to play ball. Because at the end of the day, once the whistle blows, it's a football game. Let's play.
Coach Foster, Neil Randall again. I saw just recently where one of your players had been named to the state All-Star game. Broderick Peters, a big, lineman, tight end. Tell us a little bit about him and And did he come up through the junior high program, or is he a recent addition to your team?
He's a recent addition. He transferred in. He's a good kid, intelligent kid. He came in in the spring, and he fit right in with the program. Sometimes when kids come in, they think they're bigger than the program, can't get along with the other kids. It's totally opposite. He's a great kid. Still an intelligent kid, so we're excited to have him.
Coach, obviously Peters is an excellent football player and has some offers coming, but tell us about other players you have that are standouts and maybe getting a look by some of the colleges.
Well, we got, the big name is our junior receiver in Sheldon Isaac, who has over 20 offers. He has 5 SEC offers. He's a junior, and Dylan Perkins, who's also a sophomore. Him and Sheldon made All-State last year, sophomore. He has some offers. And Jace Jackson, another kid that came and doing great. We lost our quarterback last week in Jaquan Lusana. He was having a great year, but Anthony Alexander, offensive lineman, who started last year. King Johnson, Jarvis Anderson, who made all district at running back last year, is actually having a great year at linebacker. So, all those other guys came up through the program, and that's what we're excited about.
Coach Foster, Richard Hay once again. I noticed last week that you blocked a punt, returned it for a touchdown, and you went over Hazelhurst. Talk about some things that maybe Poplarville, I know they're well coached. They're going to be a great team coming in defending 4A state champs, but what are some things you might have seen on film that gives you an opportunity to, because the kicking game is so important in these tight games that I expect this one to be. What are some things that you could see there that you might get taken advantage of?
Well, they're a solid team across the board, so we got to make sure we don't make any mistakes in the kicking game. And, the kid that blocked the punt, that's his third block punt this year. He's another one, a late blow that came through the program in Keyshawn Baker. He's been our long snapper for 4 years. And he's a late bloomer, 6'5" kid. He's blocked 3 in the last 3 weeks and returned 1 for a touchdown, so we're excited about that. But we just want to maintain, and hopefully our return game will be special. We got some things designed. So hopefully we can take advantage of some plays in the return game.
Coach, your division is stretched out about as far as you can stretch a division. It goes all the way from Poplarville, back through Columbia, to Magnolia, through McComb, and then all the way up to Lawrence County and in Monticello. That is a really big division to have to travel in.
Yeah, I don't know who decided that district. And then because I'm pretty sure Poplarville is closer to Hattiesburg than it is to McComb.
I would think so, yes, sir. I'm all with you right there.
I don't know who did the calculating of the mileage. And, it ain't even about football. But it's about your spring sports and your basketball games that have to travel on Tuesday nights, on school nights, and baseball games. That's what's going to suffer, you know what I'm saying? I don't know who decided to put that together, but hey, that's what we got to play, But it's unfair to those kids, to me, that you will make kids travel on school nights and spring sports that forward to play a game.
Coach Foster, this is Neil again. You mentioned a while ago you lost your quarterback, so who's going to be under center tonight when Poplarville comes to town?
Well, Raylan Davis, who started the first 3 games, 4 games actually, and Jaquan came in, Jaquan Lazar, he came in. He was our starter last year. He came in at Brookhaven because the game was a little bigger than Raylan could handle it against Brookhaven. He's a sophomore. So Quan came in and did a good job. And kind of took his spot back, but we have somebody with starting experience, playing tonight.
Sounds good.
Coach Foster, Richard A. once again. We always like to ask, Who's the young man that has to have a big game tonight that we're not really talking about? Who's the guy that you've had your eye on during practice this week, and he just kind of is there, but he has a big game, it'll be important for the Tigers?
Well, the thing is, we get a Jalen McGee back this week. It was only district offensive line, but he's going to play D-line tonight. And our linebackers got to play well against this kid. We got to control the line of scrimmage, the entire offensive line. We have to. They are very physical up front, so we got to tackle well. So our entire defensive line. But we got to, our guys on offense got to execute. We got to make plays when they give it.
Are you surprised, Coach, that nobody from Southwest Mississippi made the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star roster?
Yeah, that's a slap in the face to me. That's a slap in the face. And you look at it, nothing against anybody else, but some of those picks, not to take nothing away from the kids, but nobody from Southwest Mississippi on there, and you got some kids on there. You got 2 kids on there from a team that had won any game. We played pretty good football in our 55 Southwest Mississippi that did not get 1 kid. But you got a kid from South Pike who's committed to Mississippi State. My kid committed to USL. And you got kids from Brookhaven being recruited just to name. I ain't even talking about the other kids. We got to do something about the politics. Just because you're coaching the game, be fair to everybody. Just because your kids play, be fair to everybody to me.
That was the other question. What can be done to change the way these teams are picked? Is there anything, can it be selected or voted for? Or what can be done to change the way the Mississippi-Alabama All-Stars are selected?
Just everything still going to have, because I'm a Louisiana guy. So I've benefited from some of that before. But I was the type of coach, hey, man, if your kid is better than my kid, even though I'm coaching in the game, let's go with the best kid because I like to win. And so I assume they could change the process, but it seems like whoever coaches in the game, they get to kind of pick the team. I believe we need to have a committee from all over the state. Even if it's sportscasters, coaches, local coaches from each region that kind of know more about the kids in each region. And that way, everybody will get represented.
What do you expect out of Tiger Nation tonight? What kind of crowd you going to have over at C.C. Moore Stadium?
It's going to be a big crowd tonight. Probably, first of all, for the rematch, 2 top 5 teams in the state. But you also got South Pike with open day and North Pike with open day. And it's crazy because, like I said, me being from Louisiana, knowing a lot of people right there in A.B. A.B. and Kentwood played last night. So we expect some people to come across the line to see us. So it's going to be a big crowd.
Well, good luck tonight against Poplarville. We hope to talk to you during the season a little bit later.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach Foster. Thanks for your time. Coach Alden Foster, the head coach of the McComb Tigers. What a game tonight, a real slobber knocker over at C.C. Moore Stadium. It'll be the McComb Tigers taking on Poplarville. 7 o'clock kickoff. Make sure you get there early. We'll come back. We'll talk to Robert Wilson from the Mississippi Scoreboard right after we take a timeout.
Sports. And now sports.
You're listening to Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming everywhere on the SuperTalk Mississippi app. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank and brought to you by East McComb Body Shop and Guy's Pharmacy. Now back to Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5.
Welcome back, Chasing Foul Balls, Friday morning edition here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. Glad to have you along with us. Our thanks to Alden Foster, the head coach of the McComb Tigers, as he gets ready to play Poplarville tonight again. That'll be a good one over at C.C. Moore Stadium. Hope everybody will get out and support the Tigers. Well, Gal, before we go to Robert Wilson, not a real good week for Florida A&M University.
What happened to the Rattlers?
Well, they were supposed to play Mississippi Valley this weekend up in Atlanta, Georgia. But for some reason, the game didn't get scheduled in the facility. So they can't play this week, so they'll have to make up the game later in the season. Then the Florida A&M Marching 100 band announcer said, I can't do this with a straight face, that the Alabama State plus-size dance team, they were the face of the Ozempic, and he got fined and suspended.
They were the face of what?
Ozempic, the weight loss
Oh,
stuff.
my Lord, have mercy.
Now, I love it. The band, when you get the band announcer fined and suspended for saying that the Alabama State plus-size dance team was the face of Ozempic. You can't beat that, deal. You just can't beat it.
You can't make it up.
You can't make it up. Let's get out of a problem I got myself into here. Let's go to Jackson. Robert Wilson. How are you, sir? Help me out.
Hey, Robbie, look, man, you got to be careful what you say now.
Yes,
you
sir.
Be careful.
I could probably be the drum major on that face of the Ozempic team, though. That's the problem.
Look, especially in this social media world, you got to be careful what you put on social media.
Yeah.
It'll come back to get you.
I mean, it'll bite you right in the middle of the behind, won't it?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Let's talk college football a little bit before we get too deep into it. Ole Miss ranked 4th in the nation. Is that too high for this Rebel team?
It's pretty high, Robbie. I think they're really good, but, last year's team with Dart, they were up there pretty high, too. It's going to be pretty tough going to Georgia. They're going to have a tough time going to Georgia and Oklahoma. It's going to be, if they can come away with wins or get a split there, they'll be doing well. Speaking of Ole Miss, Robbie, Kiffin will be in Madison County tonight because his son plays for Oxford High School. They're playing against Madison Central tonight.
That'd be nice.
Robert, Neil Randall, first of all, let me say I really enjoy your Mississippi scoreboard, and you do a great job there, and we hope you will continue to do it.
Thank you, sir.
Just a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was, you had an article up about the upcoming, at that time, MRAJA game. And in that article, you mentioned several young men who were being recruited by all of the big schools across the country. Now, my question for you is, most of those guys are transfers into those schools, and if so, did they come from across town, across the state, or across the nation, or do you know?
Well, let's see. There are two guys on JA that were from, they both committed to Tennessee. They've been at JA for probably 3 or 4 years. The wide receiver that's committed to North Carolina has been there 2 or 3 years, so they're not transfers this year, no, sir. And then MRA has got a lot of good guys. They also probably came in middle school or before that.
Okay. Interesting.
Robert, this is Richard Hay.
Yes, sir.
We just had on Coach Alden Foster on from McComb, and he was alluding to the point that the selection for the Mississippi Alabama All-Star football game didn't have any players from Southwest Mississippi. And we ran down numerous commits to four-year universities, a lot of guys getting a lot of offers. And he was promoting maybe some change. What would you say, from the position you sit in, about a better way to have a general selection of the team instead of the way it's done now?
Well, I know they have a selection committee. If I'm right, they have to select a certain number of players from each class, and also a certain number of players from the certain areas of the state. Now, that surprised me. They don't have anybody from that area down there. Man, speaking of McComb, they're having a great year, aren't they?
Yes, sir. 5-0. But they have Poplarville in town tonight, which should be a biggie.
Robert, this is Neil again. Robbie just mentioned Poplarville coming to McComb tonight. What do you know about the running back at Poplarville that ran for like 500 yards a couple of weeks ago?
I know that's very hard to do. I've been around a long time, and I've never seen anybody do it. But now, if I'm correct, that wasn't the record, but it's pretty close to the record.
Well, it should have been. For sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Robert.
Speaking of records, Robbie.
Yep.
I was going to give a shout out to my buddy Bill Hurst at Centerville.
He's a legend, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I talk to him pretty often. I talk to him going into the season. It's something, you guys probably do know this. One of the best records I know about Coach Hurst is not about him. It's about his wife. She's been to every game he's ever coached.
That's a bunch of them. That's a long record to keep, that's for sure. Let me ask you about the MAIS. I think everybody thought going into the MRA JA game that Jackson Academy was the best team in Mississippi in the MAIS, but then MRA beats them. Have they taken over as the best team?
Yes. In fact, they're ranked number 1 in all of Mississippi by Max Preps. They've had a great year. It's probably the toughest schedule they've ever had in the history of MRA, but they've got such great chemistry. And JA has a lot of great players, but I think MRA has better chemistry than they do right now. And they're just playing great. Coach Davis does a great job up there. In fact, tonight they're playing probably the toughest team they played all year. They're playing Baton Rouge Catholic. I don't know if y'all are familiar with them much or not, but they're nationally ranked and got a great running back, one of the top best running backs in the country, and got a lot of great players. It's kind of just like the Ravenwood from Nashville. Coach Davis has really kind of expanded his scheduling and take on tough teams. And I've been really impressed with him this year.
Have you had a chance to talk with Ron Rushing in Park Lane? The Pioneers are undefeated in our areas, and they got a big game coming up against MRA later in the year. What do you see there?
Look, I like Coach Rushing a lot. They're having a great year. I watched the Jackson Prep game online, and y'all know all about the history behind that. First time since '95 that they beat Jackson Prep, and I feel like they could compete with the Hartfield, JA, MRA, and Prep. Well, they already beat Prep. I'm talking about the other 3 schools. I think they're definitely the favorite to win their division for sure.
Robert, this is Richard Hay once again. At the beginning of the show, Robbie was talking about four of our major universities with only 4 losses. How well Delta State's playing. We got 2 or 3 JUCO teams ranked in the top in the JUCO polls. Mississippi football seems to be as good as it's ever been all across all divisions. What has been the rise of that? What do you think? Is it just more kids playing football, coaches? What's been the rise of football to be what it is, that as good as I've ever seen it?
You're right. I think Mississippi has always had great athletes. Maybe not as known as they once was. I mean, people like Walter Payton from down in that area. Gosh, think about how much he would have gotten recruited if he'd have been, these days. He'd have been recruited by Ohio State, Everett, Texas A&M, all the top teams, and I think they've always been great athletes, but I think the coaching has really taken off here in the last 10 years or so. And I think Mississippi athletes are getting recruited all over the place. And great junior college coaches, great college coaches, great assistant coaches. I think football is as good as, like you said, as good as it's ever been.
Robert, this is Neil again. Let's switch over to the MHSAA. A lot of folks thought that Tupelo was the best public school team in the state, and they ran into West Point. So who do you think's on top of the heap in the public schools at this point?
I think Tupelo's the best team. Y'all may not know this. The quarterback for Tupelo got suspended early in the year, and before the season even started, for fighting, and he's been out. But I think next they play Hartsfield Academy from Jackson tonight, but he's coming back next week. So the good running back that's committed to Mississippi State has been playing quarterback, so they weren't at full speed. And I think West Point's really good too. Now, take nothing away from West Point, but I feel like Tupelo's the best team.
Robert, Richard A. once again, we talked about where Ole Miss was ranked in the polls. Talk about Mississippi State and what you think they are coming off a tough loss, a tough schedule coming up, but do you think they can get bowl eligible?
I think they've got a good shot. I tell you, I watched the Tennessee game on TV, and I was so impressed with how well they stayed with Tennessee. And, I mean, easily could have won that game. But I'm really fearful of these losses, these injuries they keep on having. I know their best offensive lineman got hurt, and I don't think he's playing tomorrow. Their best defensive player, the Smith kid, I don't think he's playing tomorrow. I think that the receiver, Thompson, is going to play. But you can't keep on getting these injuries. I know they've really made some headways as far as getting better players and getting depth, but that keeps on hurting you. But I do feel like they got a shot. You got to get that first win, though. You got to get that first one, the SEC win, to get the monkey off the back.
Well, speaking of first wins, here's the big question. Can the Saints get their first win on Sunday against the New York Giants? It's starting to hurt now at 0-4.
Well, you got a local quarterback up there for the Giants now. He did pretty good last week.
Yeah, but he's going to come back to the Superdome to take on the Saints on Sunday. That ought to be interesting.
Yeah, he may have a field day with the Saints. I hate the Saints for doing that bad.
It's tough to watch.
Tough time.
Tough to watch right now.
My question to y'all is Arch going to be drafted and come to the Saints?
Archie don't have to play a lot better than leave after this year.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe he'll get going this week.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's hope so. Robert and Neil again. Have you been surprised by Southern Miss success under Charles Huff? What's been your take on that thus far?
I don't know if y'all noticed or not. I'm doing a weekly story on Southern Miss football, and we got another guy doing Ole Miss and another guy doing Mississippi State. I covered them for 10 years when I was at the Clarion Ledger back in the day, so I'm pretty familiar with the program. Know a lot of people still down there. And I tell you what, Huff is really good. I tell you what's so impressive about Huff, because he's a disciplinarian, and, man, he does things his own way. But get this. So if he's such a great – this shows you what a great coach he is. He's got 21 guys from way in West Virginia came down to Hattiesburg to follow him. And that's impressive for Marshall. Robert. That tells me these players love him. And I've talked to a lot of parents, players that play for Southern Miss, and they think a lot of him. He's tough now, but I think he's really turning things around.
Robert, Richard Hay, once again, you talked about all the great high school football teams that we have in the state this year, the rankings and what have. What's a team that's kind of flying under the radar that come playoff time or the second or third round we'll be talking about? Where'd this team come from?
I still think Brandon could be good. They're 2-3 right now. In fact, I did a preview of them. They're playing Northwest Rankin this week. Coach Pogue, that was at South Monroe for a long time. He's the coach at Brandon now, first year. And I think they'll get it turned around. Their quarterback got hurt last week. He's not going to play tonight probably. Their best running back, who's getting recruited by every SEC school there is, he's a junior. He's been out with a hamstring, but now he's healthy. And I think they're going to get on the roll and make a difference. They're playing in the South, so it could be them and Tupelo in the championship.
Final question. Let's get out of football and go into baseball. I know you have to be really proud of Connor Griffin being selected as the Mountain League Player of the Year.
Yes, sir. In fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday. I've covered a lot of baseball games in my career, a lot of baseball players. I think he's the best high school player I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of them. Kirk Presley, you guys down in McComb, Parkland area, they've been a lot of great players down there. He can do everything, and not only is he such a great athlete, he can play every sport, but he's got such a great attitude. And I mean, none of this hot dog stuff, calm demeanor. He's serious about it. He works hard. I've been very impressed with him, and I felt like he'd do well, but I didn't know he'd do that well. I think he might be in the major leagues by next year, end of next year.
That's going to be interesting to watch with him and Skeens being on the same team together. Robert, Mississippi Scoreboard. Robert Wilson has joined us. Glad you could be with us this morning. Hope to get you back with us sometime down the road.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to that Parkland MRA game here in a couple of weeks.
I tell you what, that's going to be a big one, that's for sure. We'll talk to you later, Robert.
Thanks so much, Robert.
Thank you. Robert Wilson with Mississippi Scoreboard does a great job writing for them. We'll come back. We'll talk to Big Daddy, Reese Nunnery, see how he feels right after this. Robert Wilson with the Mississippi Scoreboard for stopping by and visiting with us, talking a little high school, college, and even a little baseball this morning here on SuperTalk Pike County and chasing foul balls. Big Daddy's with us, Reese Nunnery. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Robbie. Glad to be with y'all.
Let's start with Magnolia Little League Baseball Park. They got a $12,000 pledge to rebuild it. You can get involved by calling 783-5211. That will be a great project for people in our area. Not only Magnolia people, but people from Pike County to get involved in.
Really will, Robbie. I was glad to see that. That's very interesting that someone stepped forward and put up some money. You know, that was a proud program for all my life, the Dairy Belt, and I'm glad to see him bring it back.
How did Ahmad Hardy get away from us, Reese? 2,081 total career yards, 22 career touchdowns, 340 career rushing attempts, and he's at Missouri and not at State, Ole Miss, or Southern Miss.
Robbie, that's the $64,000 question. Maybe we need to raise that up a little bit. His brother played for us at Southern Miss. We kind of always thought the Hardy bunch is part of our family. I go all the way back to when me and Richard covered McComb, watching the Hardys play. I just can't explain how he could get right out from under the noses of the people. I understand that maybe Southern Miss didn't even offer him, which is amazing.
Reese, this is Richard. The big discussion so far this morning, maybe not all on the air, but sometime when we're off the air, is will you be watching the halftime of the Super Bowl this year?
I'm going to watch Bugs Bunny with Neil.
Did you know who Bad Bunny was before, or have you heard that?
I had no idea. I had to ask Little Daddy, and he kind of struggled to tell me who he was himself. So I don't know. That's crazy. There's a move afoot to make a change. I hope that would happen. I don't know what the NFL is thinking about.
Reese, tell us a little bit about how excited the Nunnery family is about the early season success of your Golden Eagles at Southern Miss.
Well, very, very good for the family. For the first time ever, we actually started looking at dates for bowl games. That's something we haven't done in quite some time. And actually, I hate to show my hand here, but we actually made a future motel reservation just in case something comes about. That's nice to be in that category.
Reese, Richard, once again, we have our beloved college teams, and then we all seem to root for the same pro team. And Robbie's been asking us about when the Saints will get their first victory, and I know you're a big Saint fan like the rest of us. When do you see that happening, hopefully if it happens soon?
Oh, I don't know. Me and Little Dad talked about that last night watching the pro game, and he's kind of rooting for the Saints not to win, so he wants first pick in the first round draft choice. I don't know. He's going to fight off the Jets, and I don't know who else to get to that point. But I thought maybe the Giants may be one, but Lord, they played so well last week. I don't know if the Saints can beat them.
Vandy and Alabama go at it this weekend. Who's going to get the win?
Oh, I think Alabama. I kind of picked against them last week, and they showed up and showed out. I think Alabama wins that game. Vandy's going to put up a pretty good fight.
Paige Howell, USM Alumni Hall of Fame. Great to get a guy from my area in that USM Alumni Hall of Fame.
Certainly is, and of course the Howell family has a long history of supporting the USM and responsible for a lot of good things for not only for USM but for us over this way involved in USM.
Reese, back to Southern Miss. We talked to Robert Wilson a little while ago, and I asked him the question of how he thought Charles Huff had done, and his answer was glowing, and he mentioned what a disciplinarian Coach Huff is, and how strong he had to be to get these players to come all the way from West Virginia to South Mississippi. So what's your take on Coach Huff thus far?
Well, no question. I think, one thing it shows, Neil, is that people that want to play sports like discipline. They may not like it at the moment, but they like it overall. And I think because he is such a great disciplinarian and has such a process, I guess you could call it, the way he does practice and does prepares for games and runs his program, that people are attracted to that. Not only did 21 come from West Virginia, but much more came from all over the country. So we look at the roster now for USM, and Lord, it looks nothing like it has for the last 10 years.
Well, Reese, it ought to be a great final half of the season. Look forward to talking to you next Friday.
No problem, Robert. Y'all enjoy it.
Big Daddy Reese Nundry join us. I tell you what, you can hear that smile on his face when he talks about them Golden Beagles, can't you?
And I'm glad to know he's a Bugs Bunny fan, too.
I tell you what, Bad Bunny, Bugs Bunny, some bunnies don't be at the Super Bowl. I don't know.
I'd watch Bugs Bunny.
Would you?
Yeah.
You got to watch Bad Bunny?
I can't say that right now.
All right. The one... The only other thing that I had to talk about, it kind of broke into the Saints deal, you're in trouble when the NFL in Week 6 moves your game from a 3 o'clock kickoff back to a 12 noon kickoff. And that's what the NFL did for the Saints for Week 6. No longer a 3 o'clock kickoff. It's back to a 12 noon kickoff. So when you get to that point, you're right down a little bit of trouble, that's for sure.
Well, I won't be recording it. I'll just check on it when I get in.
I tell you what, Neil, you just disappoint us, that's for sure.
I can tell.
Looking for a bank that feels like home? First Bank is here for you. 14 locations across southern Mississippi. We're your local bank for checking, savings, loan, and more. Whether you're buying a new home or starting a new business, or you just need an everyday banking made easy, First Bank's ready to help. You can stop by your nearest branch or visit firstbankms.com. First Bank, where customers and community matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And Neil, that should be a great game tonight over at C.C. Moore Stadium. When you say slobber knockers, this one may be a slobber knocker when McComb and Poplarville play.
Well, like we were talking off the air a few minutes ago, we've all seen Poplarville play the last few years. I forget the coach's name. He's been there a while, but they are very, very basic. They're not going to beat themselves. You're going to have to beat them. They're not going to make many mistakes, and they got this big running back who's obviously the real deal. A junior, I believe, isn't he, Richard?
Yep. Richard, one final question. Mississippi State has released their baseball schedule. That has to get you excited.
Robbie, right now the excitement, it's hard to say which got people more excited. How well the football team's doing compared to last year, or the release of the baseball schedule right in the middle of football season. they're going to have some fall games. I've already heard some attendance is pretty good for just fall scrimmages, things coming up. But, yeah, it's excited about Coach O'Connor and looking forward to it. But you look down the list and you're ready to go.
Thanks to Alden Foster, the head football coach over the McComb Tigers, to Robert Wilson, the sports writer for the Mississippi Scoreboard, for being with us tonight. Oh, I reckon today, it's not tonight yet, is it? The way I feel is tonight. We'll be back next Friday right here at SuperTalk Pike County's Chasing Foul Balls Friday morning edition.
I just found my baby and I want to get a chance to hold her. So don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. I said don't turn out the lights, don't turn out those lights, don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.